Welcome to the Sunday morning broadcast of the White Mountain Education Association. Last week I talked about balance, and the title of last week's talk is the same as this, except last week was part 1, today is part 2. Life exists only in balance. It is my hope that you had ample time this past week to think about balance and what balance means to you personally. That's the first thing, for us to consider. Do I have balance in my life, and what does that mean? And if I don't, why don't I? How do I recognize imbalance in my life? And then you begin to expand to think more about your community and then the world, and of course the country that you live in. There's so much we can learn from the realization of the difference between balance and imbalance. The teaching says there is a law in the universe that says life exists only in balance. That's a very complex concept, even though the words are simple. What does it mean that life exists only in balance? I'm alive. I might not be in balance, but I'm alive. I'm talking. I had breakfast this morning, right? But the teaching is telling us there's something deeper to life. And what is the phrase, life hangs in the balance? Have you ever heard that phraseology? Life hangs in the balance. So this is something I hope we can all think about this week, just not as an individual, but as a group and a nation, and to see if we can't put this concept of life exists only in balance into our thinking, into our actions, into our emotions, and certainly into our thoughts. So let me go on with the teaching. This is a paragraph I'm reading now from my notes, is what I took last week as a reminder of what we began with last week, and then I'll go on. I said, if there is no balance, there is no life. We can also say that if there is no balance, there is no existence. All existence is in balance. Without balance, though, there is no existence. And the teaching says this is a cosmic law. If we want to exist, if we want to be healthy, we need to study the law of balance. So that's what we're doing. All of our knowledge and all of our experiences are gathered within us and are trying to change imbalance into balance. Now I'm going to reread this because this is a powerful statement. All of our knowledge and all of our experiences are gathered within us and are trying to change imbalance into balance. If you have any problem, that problem came from imbalance. Think about this. If you have a problem in your life, that problem came from imbalance. You are now trying to solve that problem by creating balance. This is known also as the law of karma, the reckoning of karma, the balance of karma. So it's in this process that we are learning and we are experiencing and awakening and also pulling out the potentials that are within us, bringing them into manifestation. So this is, it's like I was looking at this beautiful plant that when you come into, into our sanctuary. It is so gorgeous. It's so beautiful. And what makes it beautiful is its perfection. Is its balance. The colors, the green, the purple, the white. You can't walk by it without feeling a sense of beauty within yourself. And that sense of beauty is balance. The right color, the right amount of light that brought the color of that plant into existence. Now, if I had walked by and saw that plant and it was shriveled up and you couldn't tell the colors, and you saw the leaves or the petals were dropping off of the plant onto the floor, what would that have done? It would not have created balance in you. It would not, in other words, it would not have brought out beauty. So as human beings, we are the same way. Are we radiating balance in our life into the environment? Are we radiating beauty into our environment, into our words, into our relationships? If we are radiating balance. And that balance comes from the divinity within us, the potential that is trying to manifest within us. When there is no balance, then there is a mechanism, a device, an apparatus within us that is now helping us to bring in that balance into, or the potential into manifestation. So we go through our life trying to create balance out of imbalance. That is one of our challenges when we come into life. So in the idea of balancing, there is something very important. There are elements that must be thrown out of our system if we want to create balance. So be on alert. Be on alert. Your conscience, that inner voice, is going to tell you, encourage you, reveal to you, show you what elements need to be thrown out of your system if you want to create balance. You have the help. You don't need a therapist to help you. You have that voice within that is going to help you recognize the elements that need to be thrown out of your system if we want to create balance. In our mind, we have lots of wrong images about ourselves, and this creates a health hazard. For example, some people think that they are the ruler of the world, or that they are the most beautiful man, most beautiful woman. And also the reverse is true. You think that you are the worst person in the world. You are negative, you are failing, or you are defeated. We all need to give a little time, daily, weekly, monthly, to find out who we are and what we are, who we are not and what we are not. We think we are something, but we are not. How can we clean these images out of ourselves? I was thinking this morning on the way over here about a grandmother that was putting wrong images into her granddaughter, and it had to do with her talent. She had no musical talent whatsoever, this granddaughter. And she was playing the piano horribly. And as a musician, my ears were really hurting. And I'm listening to her grandmother, promote her, saying, you're going to be the best pianist. You have so much talent. You're a genius. When I see you sitting there at the piano, you're really going to be something. Imagine what happened when that girl just learned that she had no talent. Musical talent. She had no talent. Not in the world of music. She had talent in business as she grew up, but not as a musician, and certainly not as a pianist. So she had these wrong images that were impressed in her mind by her grandmother when she was a little child, and now she has to overcome them. It's very interesting. So we have to clean these images out of ourselves. Our mind will start working very clearly because there are no distorting factors there. The next step we can ask ourselves is reality there in our personality, in our life expression? Is reality really being expressed through us? So how can we be real and healthy? To be real means to be healthy. If you are unreal, you are unhealthy, you're not yourself, you're not whole. You are somebody else. See, that little girl for the longest time tried to please her grandmother. So she was trying to be a pianist, even though she kept failing over and over and over again. If you are thinking you are somebody else than what you are, you're going to be in trouble. That is why we say health comes when you face exactly yourself and what you are and what you are doing. Most of us are doing things and feeling things and thinking things not because we want to, not because we feel or want to think them, but because we are hypnotized. Hypnotized means that we've been brainwashed. We are under hypnosis. And we do these things not knowing why we are doing them. So a person sits and gossips. They don't really mean what they are saying because they don't hate that person, but there's something in them, a mechanism in them that is driving that person to gossip and to talk against somebody else because there's nothing controlling that device or that machine within them. So these kind of activities in our mental body must really be stopped if we want to progress. You suddenly stop and you think, I am the ruler of the world. I remember the first time I heard a spiritual teacher say that. Actually, he was quite a remarkable man. He brought a lot of people together from around the world. It was like he was a conduit for hierarchy because he was so magnetic, and he brought so many of us from different groups, different cultures, different languages together. And that worked for about 3 or 4 years. And the next thing I began to hear him say, I am the world teacher. Why do these things happen? Because there's nothing controlling us within. That light, that love, that power that dominates the soul is not an expression. It is the brainwashing that we have received, that people, in this case, convinced that man who he was. And he bought it, hook, line, and sinker. He did not have discernment. He did not have the light, the love, the power controlling that hypnotic influence that was embracing his ego. And now the group is no longer in existence. So he said, I am the ruler, I'm the world teacher. He still has a magazine that is in publication, but it's nothing extraordinary. It's very interesting. I won't belabor on it. Anyway, very few of us are the ruler of the world. That's the reality. So come to your senses. You think that some person is a really bad person, but that is also false. Why are we nourishing false ideas, false images in our mind? Feeling immediately creates imagination. Feeling immediately creates imagination. Anytime you're feeling anything, an image is there. You are using your imagination. If you hate somebody, you imagine how ugly they are, and so on. It's your imagination. You create a drama to justify your hatred. You justify your hatred because you have deceived yourself. In order to hate somebody, you create justification. And if that justification is wrong, you start working on somebody or on something, doing something that is not based on any foundation at all. This kind of thinking within your mind creates storms, and then the rain comes. So try to clean your mind from the false images about yourself and others. I will guarantee you it will make you a happier person. It will make your family a happier family. Your relationships will be so much better. A friend of mine was reading about John Bunyan's life. This is not Paul Bunyan, by the way. Paul Bunyan was kind of a mythical figure. I think he was in Minnesota. He was this big guy. But this is not, I'm saying because the fellow in our group here grew up in Minnesota, and I'm sure he knows about Paul Bunyan. Anyway, I used to vacation there, and as we entered Minnesota, there was this big, huge statue of Paul Bunyan, and I thought, I really want to know that man someday. Anyway, this friend of mine was reading about John Bunyan, his life. John Bunyan was an English writer and a Puritan preacher. He is best remembered as the author of the Christian allegory, The Pilgrim's Process. Now, John was going down a street to meet a prostitute. The next prostitute started to curse him and told him he was the worst man, that he was a bad person. The prostitute was not able to see herself as she was, but she made him discover that his self-image was not real because he was going to a prostitute and in the meantime having a high opinion about himself. The prostitute tore that image and made him see his reality. It was at that moment John Bunyan wanted to restore his balance and change his life. Also, people project their own ugliness on others and make them believe that they are ugly. In so doing, people also reinforce their own ugliness upon themselves. They see beauty in others. If they see beauty in others, they may impress the beauty on themselves So there are many things in our mind that need to be cleaned, cleansed, and balanced. For example, imitation. Do not imitate that you are somebody and become a show-off. Throw it out. Now, I know we've studied imitation from a different point of view through Thomas Kempis, the imitation of the Christ. Or we have people that we really adore, like Torquem, our teacher, Torquem Saradarian, or Helena and Nicholas Rourke, and we adore these beautiful, pure human beings, and we want to be like them. But that's not the point. The point is our adoration, our inspiration, our aspiration to be like them is to bring out the potential of who we are. So that's not the imitation I'm talking about here. What I'm talking about here is to imitate that you are somebody and then to become a show-off. Throw it out. Every time you're using imitation, you are creating obstacles in your nature. It is a false image and puts you out of balance. Don't lie and fabricate. Glamours need to be cleaned. Glamours are condensations of desires that cannot be fulfilled. Glamours are condensation of desires that cannot be fulfilled. These unfulfilled desires become forms in your aura. And these forms take on a life. The life becomes a glamour. The glamour controls these images, your imagination. And your life has no existence because it is not in balance. Illusions need to be cleaned. Illusions are those ideas and thought forms and information that you misuse, that you change and you accept as real. You say, the whole economic condition of this world is because of not knowing how to do business. You work on it, you create books and lectures, and you see that it is not true. You're telling people over and over and over again, the reason the world is failing is because they're not good in business. And then you take on this glow about yourself of having the knowledge. And then you lecture about it. It's the same concept of people taking short paragraphs from the teaching, and then they begin to lecture on each of the words they discovered in those paragraphs. And these words, because of their lectures, make them present themselves as if they are somebody, as if they are in the know. And the unfortunate element is that all of these words become so distorted that it creates an imbalance, not only in what they're saying to people about the teaching, but the way they represent themselves as well. That becomes an illusion in your mind that you are a great teacher because you have taken a few words out of a few paragraphs, out of a few books of the teaching. So instead of looking at many other factors, many other dimensions, you limit yourself to your own fabrications. And those fabrications become a crystallized thought form, which we call illusion. That thought form does not let you go forward in your research and in finding reality. So balance lets the creative energies, this is the beauty of balance. The balance allows the creative energies to circulate within our system, and this recirculation regenerates and heals our entire nature. Immediately when we clean our minds from these obstacles, we see that energies are now circulating in our bodies. So we can strive to work on the balance from one side, trying to establish balance from the other. From the other side, we're trying to clean the obstacles that are preventing us from balancing ourselves. So what are these creative energies? This is very, very powerful. They are three powers. Creative energies are seen in three powers. They are willpower, and they are love, and they are light. Willpower, love, and light. It's very interesting to learn how these energies work. And I really don't have the time this morning to go into the science of it, but I want to give you a little bit of an introduction to it. So for example, willpower. When a person violates the free will of other people, they destroy their willpower. They destroy, in other words, their free will. When a person violates the love of other people, they destroy their love. When a person violates the light of other people, their light goes out. A person is telling the truth, and you fabricate and you work very hard to make that person think that they are wrong. Now I know so many people that have come into the teaching and have been so excited to find the ageless wisdom, to find truth teaching. And they, first thing they do is they go home and they tell their parents, or they tell their family or their spouses about the truth, about the ageless wisdom. And the family or the spouse or the parents begin to have a fear that they will lose that cherished family member. And they begin to speak from memory verses from the Bible, or what their minister or pastor told them to look out for, to be afraid of. And pretty soon the person puts their newly found books away because the others have said, what you believe in is wrong. Have you not experienced that? I know so many that have. But when a person violates the light of other people, their light goes out. You increase your light by increasing the light in others. So when you hear something different, a different truth, or a truth that doesn't seem right, you don't cast it aside. Find the balance in their truth and your truth. And the first way you find the balance is by asking questions. Tell me more. Let me read more about what you're reading, and let me share with you what I know, or what is my truth. It's very interesting how your light and their light comes together and reveals a greater truth. You increase your light by increasing the light in others. Now, for those who are strongly rooted in these teachings, I want to share something you may not have considered, even though it is very practical and reasonable. These three powers, light, love, and willpower, cannot increase unless you give them to others. If you increase willpower, the awareness of destiny or the purpose of life in other people, you will increase your own willpower. When you increase people's love, your love power increases. When you educate people, you get enlightened. By giving light, you are enlightened. So you see, that member of your family that found a teaching, whether it's the Ageless Wisdom teaching or a religion, and they come to you and they begin to share their truth, their new truth with you, they become enlightened themselves. They will discover whether it is truly truth or not. Do you understand? Because light enlightens. Enlightenment gives truth. By giving light, we are enlightened. This is why I'm trying to get you to see it as practical, but have you realized this truth? Don't keep your light under the bushel. This is what they say. I hear people say in the teaching, I can't tell my family about this idea or this concept because they'll think that I'm on the wrong path. Don't hide your light. They might believe the same thing. Believe your truth. You can never increase your light if your light is not given to others. Something must flow so that new things come to you. That even happens with money. If someone accumulates money and more money, neither do they enjoy their money, nor do they become prosperous. They're hiding their light under their bushel. They're saving their money by digging a hole in the ground, so to speak. If they put the money into the business and start using it, then their money increases. It must be used. Your money must be used for creative activity. When you give it, it will be given to you. This is what we're told. And this is what we experience. Each of our vehicles must be balanced with light, love, and willpower. But one of them always predominates. And this is what I wanted to talk more about this morning, and I'm so out of time. I'm really out of time. But let me just present the kernel of the idea. Each of our vehicles must be balanced with light, love, and willpower. But one of them always predominates. For example, we have willpower, which is energy. Your body must have energy and love and light. It must function in the right way, but willpower must be the predominant power there because it is energy. The emotional body must also have power and love and light, but love must be the predominating power in the emotional body. Your mental body must have will and love, but light must predominate there. Great books are those that have balance between light and love and power. If a book does not have balance, you do not like that book because the sense of balance within you rejects the books. When you open your mouth to talk badly about somebody, that inner instrument tells you that you are doing something wrong. It says stop. But often you continue anyhow, and you create an imbalance. If you frequently disobey that inner instrument, that inner voice, it stops working and you lose all your balance. Balancing in the mental plane can be successfully carried on if you look at the object of your interest from 7 viewpoints. For example, you have a box. You know it from the first sight. You will see only the first sight. If you only see that one side, then you're not going to be balanced. Your outlook, your knowledge is not balanced. If you look at the first side and the second side, again, your observation is not balanced. You are going to look from 6 sides and then from the inside out. That takes you to synthesis. The 7 viewpoints are, at this point, still related to yourself. Everything you're saying and doing and thinking or imagining or visualizing is related to you. You're still out of balance. You are entering into balance when you start looking at all the objects of interest from the viewpoint of yourself and your family, the of yourself and the nation, of yourself and the group. If you look at every object from these 7 viewpoints, you can create mental balance. Think, and you can ask this question, if I do this, what will happen to me? What will happen to my country? What will happen to my group? What will happen to nature, to humanity, and to the whole of creation? Then you will have a balanced attitude. If anything is done without looking at these 7 viewpoints, the middle and the circumference, you are not in good balance. Your writings and your speeches must always be with these 7 points of balance. Then you're a master. Even in your job, this is true. I'm opening a business. So why are you opening a business? It's to make money for myself, to go to Las Vegas and enjoy myself. Of course, this is not the right way. I want to satisfy myself and my country. You are also included in this thinking, and you are important, so this is a little bit better. If you're including humanity and nature, it's fantastic. You are really successful. So the time will come when you will fail in certain things if you do not balance things, but eventually success will be totally ours because we are working with the laws of balance in the universe. So we can say one thing. It is the law of balance that is responsible for existence. Your existence, your longevity, your success is going to be based on how you are utilizing this law in your life. It is even true with your food, unbalanced food, and I talked about this last week. Unbalanced food will kill you. Find the secrets of balance and start using them. So that's the introduction to balance. And I hope that by now you recognize that life exists only in balance and understand it and begin to incorporate it into your actions and your emotions and your thoughts.